The law does allow me, however, to reduce that if you're willing to agree, just solely based on the fact that Mr. Slaughter does have another dependent in his household that may cost more money than what the law allows. I can do that if you wish me to do that. You do not have to agree. You can say, no, Judge, I got 2 kids and I'm entitled to 980, and that's what I want you to do. Okay? That is your right. You want me to set the child support at 980, or you want me to set it at 750?
980, sir.
That is your right. I can set the child support based on that information.
So today we have a mother and father in court. The mother is trying to get the child support increased. They have 2 kids together. Now, before we get into this, you all have been asking for it and it's here. We're going to be covering a lot of these cases on the new channel. So go ahead right now and click the link at the very top of the description so you can go over there and subscribe to that channel. Set those notifications to all. You don't want to miss when I drop content over there, all right? So yeah, not going to waste any time. Let's go ahead and jump into it.
This court is going to call cause number C-232020. This is in the 317th District Court of Jefferson County, Texas. And it's in the interest of Reginald and Amari Slaughter. Miss Sierra Neville, I need you to unmute and raise your right hand. Miss Neville, do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. You can put your hand down. Reginald Slaughter, would you unmute, please? There you go. Raise your right hand, Mr. Slaughter. Solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. You can put your hand down. Do you have any other witnesses, Miss Alexander, besides the parties?
Yes, Your Honor, Miss Kim Shaw.
Kim Shaw, please raise your right hand. Solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. You can put your hand down. All right, you can call your first witness.
The state would call Miss Neville. Miss Neville, what is your full name?
Sierra Neville.
Okay. Was there a prior order that was done in this case at approximately June of 2021?
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Was there a prior order that was done in about June of 2021 that based child support on minimum wage?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, the state would ask the court to take judicial notice of the court's file, specifically the order that was entered June 22nd, 2021.
Court take judicial notice of its own file.
And you were recently had what's called a child support review process in our office, and Mr. Slaughter was there, and an order was put together, what we would call a non-agreed. And in that non-agreed, it set the child support at $980 to start June 1st, 2023, with a step down of $765 when the oldest graduates. Are you asking the court to approve of those terms?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so they have 2 kids together, 14 years old and 7 years old. The father was ordered to pay child support almost 2 years ago in June 2021, sometime towards the end of that month. At that time, the child support was based on minimum wage. That usually happens, 1, if the father doesn't show up and they're unable to get information on his work. Or in this case, if the father was out of work. Just because he's not working doesn't mean that he won't have to pay anything. This judge is going to set it at minimum wage. Considering that he's able to work, he's going to say you should at least be able to find a job making minimum wage. He was ordered to pay child support, health insurance, and back pay at that time, June 2021, and now the mother went to the state saying that she wanted more based on his job that he's been working at for over a year now. They sat down with the state. When they met with the state, the amount was calculated to be increased to $980 per month, plus medical and whatever back pay he was already paying. So the judge is here to determine what the amount will be. Will he go with what the state calculated, or will he agree with the father?
Okay, and in that order, it's going to have dad cover the health insurance and the dental insurance through his employer. Is that what you're asking the court to grant?
Yes, ma'am.
And all of the other terms, there's not too many, you're asking the court to grant that order. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you actually did sign on that order. Is that correct?
I did.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
Call your next witness.
The state will call Mr. Slaughter. Mr. Slaughter, what is your full name?
Reginald Slaughter.
Okay. And do you agree that in approximately June of 2021, there was a prior order that set your child support based on minimum wage? Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And we're looking to modify that order today. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, in that non-agreed that we filed, we have your monthly gross income as $5,771. Do you agree on that monthly income?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And we gave you credit. You cover the health insurance through your employer with a cost for the children with a cost of $204.98. Is that still about right and what you agreed to?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And for the dental, there's a cost monthly of $17.90 for the dental. You agree with those dollar amounts?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, do you agree to the actual calculation that we came up with based on guidelines support of $980?
So you asked me earlier, I said yes. I was looking at my net. So from the gross, when I take home from after they take taxes and deduction, I take home approximately $3,922. So if you do the percentage of the $980 that's being requested for child support, that's still coming out to nearly 25% out of my check, out of net.
So, what I'm asking is, would you agree that based on what I calculated for guideline support, it would be about that much, but you don't agree to the actual amount?
Correct.
Why?
Oh,
Can you let the court know why?
Okay, I explained one of the reasons just now. So my net take home is $3,922. When you do the percentage of $980 off of that, that's still 25%. It's still not accounting for any deductions. One of the deductions is me having another child. I believe there's supposed to be a 3% deduction on that. And also whenever I have the kids, I still have expenses when I have Amari and RJ.
So right now we see why they are in court. The previous child support order from 2 years ago was based on him only making $15,000 per year. Well, now his annual gross is nearly $70,000. That's like 4 or 5 times more than before. But here's the problem. His take home is about $3,900. Hopefully that amount already accounts for the back pay and child support, but the extra money from the increased child support payments will have to be deducted as well.
Okay, and so what are you asking the court to set the child support amount at?
I was asking for $750, somewhere around that ballpark. Nothing too low because I still want to support my kids. I'm not trying to lowball or anything like that. Just I still have expenses. I still have things that come out of my check. I still have to pay for lots of things on my end, and I feel like $750 would be enough to take care of that. So my youngest with Sierra, Amari. She's no longer in daycare. That was one of the biggest expenses that I know she had when I was paying child support when I was working. Now she's not in daycare. I believe those expenses are cheaper, you know?
And she knows it's true, but she's not trying to hear that. This is what happens whenever you put the power in their hands. This will happen to you. There will be no cooperation. You didn't get that in a relationship. That's why you're not together. So why do you think she's going to cooperate with you in court?
Okay, do you understand that the calculation that we have, it is based on guideline child support? You're just asking the court to set it lower because you have other expenses. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I understand that.
Okay, no further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Slaughter, how many children altogether do you have?
Oh, I apologize.
Okay.
I'm sorry, how many?
3, 2 with Miss Sierra, and then I have one outside as well.
All right, so while we're talking about it, you fill out your taxes every year, Mr. Slaughter?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been back with the city?
About a year.
Okay.
Year and a half.
So, I mean, a year and a half.
Yeah. I started in January.
January of 2021?
No.
2022?
Correct.
Okay. So, 6 months after I did the court order that lowered your child support to $250 a month, you went to work for the city of Beaumont.
Correct.
And you've been paying lowball child support for a year and a half.
I was on a adjusted, so I was a police cadet, and I was still making pretty much.
Were you making $1,256 a month?
No, sir.
Yeah. So you've been lighting the low for about a year and a half. Let's be honest about it.
And I was paying my arrears as well. I had a lot of debt that I was paying off.
While I understand what you're talking about, Mr. Slaughter, it's not my responsibility to make sure that all your other bills get paid. It's my responsibility to make sure that child support is supposed to be set the way it is. Okay.
Okay.
So let's just be honest. For a year and a half, you paid a lot less child support than what you were supposed to pay.
Okay.
All right. And now the state's asking me to increase your child support to $980, and you want me to increase it to $750. So yes, you said, Judge, I want you to base my child support on $750 because I got a lot other bills that you're responsible to pay. What bills do you have to pay?
I pay daycare, Pampers, wipes, other expenses for my 3-year-old.
Okay, is your 3-year-old live in the house with you?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean that is what it is, that you have another child. The law requires, Mr. Slaughter, that I give you credit for the dependents that's in your household, and I've done that. Your child support is not as high as it would be. It's only set at 22.5% instead of 25%. So you did get the 2.5 reduction that the law requires that I give you.
Okay.
All right. So, I mean, it's the nature of having another child in your household. You're just going to have to absorb that expense. But the law does require I give you some credit for that.
Okay.
All right. So you said that the one thing that you actually started talking about at the beginning was that you were concerned that what you bring home is not actually what I'm using to set your child support on.
Yes, sir.
So the law says that I set your child support based on your net disposable income.
Okay.
The Internal Revenue Service publishes a data sheet for me every year that tells me exactly what somebody brings home based on their income. So you do make your gross is $5,771 a month, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Internal Revenue Service says the only thing that the federal government requires you to pay on $5,771 is $1,066.14. The Internal Revenue Service says that's all the taxes that you pay on that. Now, if you have a lot of other deductibles coming out of your check besides that $1,066, I'm not supposed to consider that.
Okay.
If you pay more income taxes than what you're supposed to pay, then you get a check back at the end of every year from the Internal Revenue Service because you overpaid your taxes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So because you overpaid your taxes doesn't mean that you're not supposed to pay child support on that.
Okay.
Now you get retirement that comes out of your check.
Correct.
You still have to pay child support on your retirement. Just because you decide to take money out of your income and put it to a later date for you to be able to draw because you're no longer working doesn't mean that you're not supposed to pay child support on. You are. You're supposed to still pay child support on your retirement. Okay?
And by the way, this is child support court, not divorce court. Right now, you're looking at the cost of having children with modern women. Basically, the father is wanting them to assess child support based on discretionary income. He's wanting them to consider his other expenses and debt. It doesn't work like that. They are going to go based off your disposable income. That's just your gross pay minus your taxes and mandatory deductions. In Texas, there's no state personal income tax. So for people in Texas, it's gross minus federal. He's got the 3-year-old baby in the house with him with another woman, and he's paying daycare for that baby and other expenses. They gave him about 2.5% off for that. We're talking about a $25 a month deduction for him having another child. These are the state guidelines that they're following.
You are. You're supposed to still pay child support on your retirement. Okay? Because you still earned it. You just decided not to take it now. You're going to take it later when you retire. You still following me so far?
Yes, sir. I'm still listening.
All right. You see, while I do understand what you're saying, the law doesn't allow for me to give you credit for all these additional expenses that come out of your check. The law says,
Okay.
Judge, this is how much money Mr. Slaughter earns a month. This is how much money the Internal Revenue Service he's supposed to pay in taxes. And you're going to set child support, Judge, based on the rest of it. Okay?
Okay.
Y'all hold on, because I saw something in this deal I didn't like. All right. Miss Neville, can you unmute?
Yes, sir.
All right. In the interest of trying to conduct hearings in good faith, I'm going to ask you this. Now, Mr. Slaughter says that he really wants to pay $750. I will tell you, based on my calculations, I do get $980. That's what I came up with. I mean, it's within pennies of what's being suggested. Okay. The law does allow me, however, to reduce that if you're willing to agree, just solely based on the fact that Mr. Slaughter does have another dependent in his household that may cost more money than what the law allows. I can do that if you wish me to do that. You do not have to agree. You can say, no, Judge, I got 2 kids and I'm entitled to $980, and that's what I want you to do. Okay? That is your right. You want me to set the child support at $980, or you want me to set it at $750?
$980, sir.
All right, that is your right. I can set the child support based on that information. All right. Thank you, Miss Neville.
Thank you.
Miss Neville, are you still in the service?
Now you know good and well this lady is not in the military. We all know she didn't serve the country we've all been serving her.
Service?
I thought somebody was in the service. It may have been an old order I was looking at.
Okay.
Anything further from the state?
Nothing further from the state, Your Honor.
Mr. Slaughter, is there anything else that you think I need to know about this case before I make a ruling?
No.
No. I'm going to change 2 things in your court order, Miss Alexander. The first is the start date on this case is going to be July the 1st
Sure.
instead of June the 1st. I mean, we're already on June the 8th. Mr. Slaughter's already missed at least 1 paycheck. So the other thing I'm going to change is, are you looking at your court order, Miss Alexander?
Yes, I am, Your Honor. I know exactly where you're going.
Page 7. I think you need to change those percentages, don't you?
I for whatever reason, I overlooked that. I mean, I looked at the calculations.
Hey,
Yeah,
you
it
know
should
what?
be
I don't always catch it either, Miss Alexander, but I just had spent enough time looking at it and thought, I don't think that percentage is correct.
I looked at that and I'm like,
And she's like, oh, I just made a little mistake. This is how they do. Of course, it's not her money.
Anything further in regards to this case, Miss Alexander?
nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Slaughter, Miss Neville, what's going to happen now is Miss Alexander's going to send me an order. As long as it matches what I said here today, I'm going to sign it and get it back to them. Then they're going to make a copy of it and send it to each of you, okay?
Okay.
All right. I appreciate you both being here today. Mr. Slaughter, those were really good questions. I do understand what you're saying. They're, right now the law is what it is. And so I'm required to set child support based on your income, okay?
Hey, I got it. All I had to do was ask, and I got my answer.
Yeah, and don't ever be afraid to ask.
Yes, sir.
Good luck to you both. You're both free to go. Have a great day.
I give the father that. A lot of these guys are afraid to ask for what they want in court, and he wasn't. The child support payment was going from $250 a month to 4 times that amount, up to over $1,000, because the calculated gross income went from $15,000 per year to nearly $70,000 per year. They gave him a $25 deduction for having a 3-year-old that lived with him, which is really low, but that's the state guidelines. He wanted to pay $750, and the judge would have agreed if the baby mama agreed, but the baby mama didn't care about any of that. She said she needed that $980 per month. He's also paying back pay from the 2021 order as well. So of course, they don't ask her about her income at all. She's getting all kinds of help and can basically live like a stay-at-home mom with no man. But guess what? This is how they set up the law. If it's not going to change anytime soon or ever, young men shall always protect their seed. You have a lot of women who love to say, well, what money am I going to take? He's not rich. Okay, you see here how a man making a decent living can go from ordinary good pay, above average, to struggling really quick when you have all these liabilities. A lot of men will never catch up. or be able to progress because of their decisions to have babies with these modern women. Majority of the couples having kids right now will not stay together because you're dealing with modern women in modern society, women who are not feminine cooperative women. Doesn't matter if you make $70,000 a year, $100,000 a year, or $70 million per year. Most of you are dealing with modern Western women, and there's no long-term success with that type of mindset. This woman here is selling her plates on the side and boss chick entrepreneur shirts, further adding to this fake boss chick facade. These are not boss chicks. What we really have is a culture of trap queens. A lot of women having babies for checks. And since men know this, men should be moving accordingly, especially when you're the one who's going to be held responsible. If you want to see more cases like this, definitely subscribe to my new channel. The link is in the description at the top. Let's go ahead and get the conversation started. Let me know what you think about this case. Special thank you to our sister Keita G. I appreciate you, Keita, for all your support. Shout out to Tanette. Tanette, she's always showing love too. Shout out to Christopher B. Dark Power always supporting, and OS. Don't forget that you can support this channel as well. Links to Cash App and PayPal are below. Ladies, fellas, want a balanced analysis, want the truth from a woman's perspective? Then you're going to want to subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to like and share.